Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Wake Up San Francisco, where we talk about your fan theories on the film Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Gabe, how was your week?
Good. So, my week, I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off 50 times.
Mm-hmm. I don't think, is that possible?
Yes. I'm sure it is.
It's probably pretty possible.
It's probably very possible.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is For the Love of Film with Gabe Worth.
Oh, yeah, that's the show.
Yeah.
It's For the Love of Film with Gabriel Thorpe and Worth Real Burroughs. Short, you can just call me Worth, which is what I'm actually legally named.
Legal.
You know what I said today?
Legally blonde.
On my Twitter account, I once said today, if I were a professional first baseman, I would legally change my last name to who? I'm not even lying. Okay, we can move on. This is stupid. So yeah, how was your week?
My week was fine. Just lately,
Is there any specific things that you noticed? Did you watch any movies this week?
Well, I rewatched Boogie Nights.
Is that the movie we're doing this week?
I don't know. Is it?
I think we planned on it, actually. I didn't get
It's almost as if you texted me earlier in this week that we were doing Boogie Nights.
I think we do that. I think that's part of our thing.
I think that is our deal with
Okay,
this.
should we talk about, I'm trying to think of other movie news and stuff. But Ferris Bueller, I came very close to texting you last night. Can we do Ferris Bueller? Because I was feeling
would
Ferris
love to do Ferris Bueller.
Let's do it one day. Okay.
Just all of those
Who's
movies.
the protagonist of Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Clearly, the best friend.
It's Cameron.
Yeah, it's Cameron.
Right? And also, Ferris Bueller is a figment of his imagination. It's just a dumbed down Fight Club. Or probably a more complex version of Fight Club, because you got to really dig for it.
But that's just a theory.
It is just a theory, and Ferris Bueller's a sociopath. Also, I want to say, check out, because I did not realize the parallels. I used to like Saved by the Bell as a kid. It's kind of before our time, but I watched the reruns. Did you watch any of the reruns?
I would watch them elementary school morning.
They came out like at 7 o'clock in the morning while you're getting dressed.
Yeah.
But Zach Morris is pretty much just like a television version of Ferris Bueller, but there's this series you need to check out called Zach Morris is Trash, and they just and this dude, it's just 2-minute episodes of this guy going through the plots of Saved by the Bell episodes about how Zach Morris is like a greedy, sociopathic pervert.
What was the teacher in that?
And everything, everything is I don't know. They filmed girls' locker rooms to start off so many episodes. It's weird. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
With the show. But yeah, so we watched Boogie Nights this week.
Boogie Nights.
It's time to get pornographic. We're talking
straight up, though.
Straight up pornographic.
This film actually it blurs the line.
Now, this is a movie that I like very much. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it this week. I probably watched the first 25 minutes of it several times, and usually get to the part with Don Cheadle selling stereo systems. It's not a record store. The stereo store.
Hi-fi.
Also,
high
yeah, a hi-fi movie. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I thought you said hi-fi movie, like this wasn't.
No,
a
high fidelity. Movie. That's the.
Yeah, I know that's part of the
reference to the scene.
But this movie, is this Paul Thomas Anderson's second film?
I think that's right.
Or did he do Magnolia first? I don't know.
No, he did not do Magnolia first.
It seems to be like the second film of directors are like the big ones. I know Pulp Fiction is Tarantino's second one, and that's the one that he will always be remembered for.
Well, Reservoir Dogs got a big following when it came out. It wasn't but it was still.
Yeah, that's his first movie, and then also they don't ever talk about Pulp Fiction because it's like an $8 million budget.
Right.
But anyways, they give Paul Thomas Anderson Hard 8, someone who didn't go to film school and dropped out of college, and I guess they just gave him the keys. And I've watched interviews with him, but he made Hard 8, and he was like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it. And they let him make Boogie Nights. And I don't know how they gave him this much creative freedom.
Oh, it's just
this movie,
a raunchy film, hard R.
Not raunchy in that way.
Oh,
when I think of raunchy, I think of yeah.
No, yeah. I mean there's a lot of violence in it. It's pretty much everything: sex, drugs, and violence.
I think yes. Way. I mean, when I think of raunchy, I think of Step Brothers comedy. But yeah, this is a super bold movie.
No,
it is the best movie.
It's not Sausage Party, but.
No, I didn't think that movie was funny.
You thought that movie was fun?
I did not.
Oh, you didn't?
I was really hoping it was. I didn't enjoy it, which is a bummer, but
it's
whatever.
It's like a perfect 5 for me.
A perfect 5?
Sausage Party, yeah. Because parts of it I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. And then the parts I'm just like, that's trash.
Okay.
That's such
Let's
trash.
get to Boogie Nights. Now, this movie is all around a super innovative and unique movie. And it's his second film. It's Paul Thomas Anderson's second film, to my knowledge. Like I said, don't fact check me because I don't have my laptop in front of me. I'm pretty sure it is. But when did this come out? 1997. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a lot of good movies came out that year because also Good Will Hunting came out that year. I can't remember what else off the top of my head. Titanic, I think, came out in 97.
Maybe 98, I don't know.
But it's by far, I didn't get to rewatch it, but I've seen this movie so many times, and I've watched it, over and over, and I just kind of stumbled upon it, and then I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, like, it's just things in there, they stick in your head, especially there's a scene with Don Cheadle, which I think is one of the best in film history as far as just being of shock value.
Right.
In the donut shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then, like,
I remember, like,
it's
my first...
by far the hardest film, not the hardest film, but, like, it's the best film that's really hard to recommend to people. Because I have a lot of friends, and, like, two of my favorite movies, for example, are Goodfellas and Pulp Fiction, which those have a whole lot of prestige to them, and you can break them down because they are real films, and they're part of classic cinema now. But also a lot of regular people just like them,
Yeah.
because it is blood, guts, and violence and that type of thing. So, but this has this kind of effect. I would call this movie anything, it's Goodfellas meets Pulp Fiction meets Saturday Night Fever, and that's the movie.
No, I think that nails it, really. Or at least the first half with Saturday Night Fever, and even kind of bleeds more in the second half, because, like, first half's very set in the 70s, the second half very set in the 80s, which is, and the way they handle that is really interesting. I noticed
as far as themes, like, I mean, so much of Wahlberg's character, I feel like, is sort of Travolta from Saturday Night Fever, like someone who just wants to be something.
Right.
But like I said, it's the best movie that's the worst to recommend, because I always tell people, I'm like, you still haven't seen Boogie Nights yet. Have you seen Boogie Nights? And anyone who's seen Boogie Nights is like, yeah, I've seen Boogie Nights. It's awesome. But everyone I tell, I'm like, you have to see it. And they're like, oh, it sounds interesting. What's it about? And I'm like, well, it's about Mark Wahlberg, and he's got a huge thing. And they're like, what? I'm not watching that. But that's kind of how the movie starts out, which is not about
that is the catalyst.
That's
for
not the movie what it's about, but that's kind of the thing. It's about the porn industry, and that's what this movie is about. A lot of it kind of mirrors John Holmes, who's a lot of people considered to be the biggest star of the 70s video porn era. Well, this is pre-video, but like pornographic theaters and things like that. Which there's another character who I think is more related to it. I don't remember his name, but he comes in later in the film.
John C. Reilly's character?
No, not John C. Reilly. He's there from the beginning. The other guy.
Todd is the character's name.
He's the new guy on the block, but that guy definitely, and they dress him up to look just like John Holmes. If you ever have seen a picture of John Holmes, which we probably won't put in this video, I could do it, but it's weird,
It is.
Yeah,
it is
but this is a brutal movie, and it's about the porn industry, and it humanizes the people so well, so great acting. I don't know how you get a cast this great. Think about it. Stop and think who all is in this movie.
The main porn director in this film. Well, the first
best Burt Reynolds role ever.
Yes,
hands down. No, I'm telling you, I think he did get nominated. I don't know if he won, but. Jack Horner,
does do really well. He
kills it. He's the coolest guy ever.
Well, that's the thing. When I first saw him, I was kind of like, okay, he's probably gonna end up being some villain. And then later, when you see, oh, he's a pretty chill, awesome dude, you're like,
did you just see Boogie Nights for the first time?
What?
Did you just see Boogie Nights for the first time recently?
No.
Okay.
No, I saw it when I was 16, 17.
Okay, but
and I rewatched it. Today though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair because you get a lot more when you come back to it.
Yeah, and I'm saying when I first saw the film and with him, I first saw him and I'm just like, he's probably gonna be a villain. Mm-hmm. And then later, see him again, and he don't see him again. I think he's going to betray the main character, and he doesn't. He just is a great dude throughout.
Oh,
I was kind of surprised by something like that.
Paul.
He's just kind of sleazy.
Kind of, but it's also it's a different I don't know if I'd call him sleazy. Like he is a sleazy, like
He's
he's type
sleazy
of person.
yeah.
But he does
He's not
believe
conniving.
he's not conniving.
He's
and like
a very
Paul Thomas
loyal
Anderson,
kind of guy.
He's he's the rock of the film. He holds everyone together. It's a tough industry, but
Mm-hmm.
also he's making a lot of money. He's got a nice house. He's throwing parties, and people are doing drugs. And
Lots of coke in this film.
there's a lot of parallels. I said to Goodfellas, like pretty early on in the movie, a girl ODs, I think, on cocaine.
Yeah.
Pretty immediately, and then one of the guys there is freaking out and crying, and then you see these older guys that come in and just like, what the hell are you doing? You know, and it reminded me when I watched that of the scene in Goodfellas when someone gets like shot in the arm, and then he's like you wasted 8 aprons on this guy. He's like, what is wrong with you? Like this is everyday life. But so he's the rock of the movie. But also, like I said, he's not totally sleazy because like he does believe in it as an art form. Like he's not trying to make trash, which is kind of funny because he's a very serious director, but he's making like the cheesiest stuff ever. But he believes it, and they kind of portray him like he's, Steven Spielberg or something.
No. I mean, they portray him as an artist with a vision.
Yeah.
And most people would be like, no.
But
and that's kind of part of the plot as well, the story.
Yeah, and then with the porn industry and those kind of characters, it humanizes them so well, and so many people they're viewed as like freaks or different parts of society. They're on the outskirts of it. And they have a lot of trouble. And I heard someone say recently, it's like you always hear about dead hookers and hookers getting murdered, but it's not. And people are just like, oh. But it's not. But they're like, oh, those are. You should report that as like women getting murdered. But these are real people, and it shows their lives. Julianne Moore is fantastic. One of my favorite movies with her. But like all around stellar cast. It's like think of everyone that's in the movie. You got John C. Reilly in a serious role, kills it. Mark Wahlberg.
I don't think I've ever seen John C. Reilly have this much screen time in a film before.
Have you seen Walk Hard?
No.
Do it.
I will.
It's the funniest movie ever made. I've decided it. I've seen it a lot. It's ridiculous. Watch it. It's like a parody of Johnny Cash's life in the music industry.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I love Johnny Cash. So.
It's on Netflix. Watch it. Watch some of it tonight. It's
Walk Hard, you said?
Walk Hard. You won't. Oh my God. And Tim Meadows in that movie, the most underrated comedic performer. But anyways, John C. Reilly does great in it, and there's this great friendship between him and Mark Wahlberg. Then you got Don Cheadle. One of my favorite Don Cheadle movies. So, and there's a lot of it's just about...
He got, like, first billing, too.
Yeah, and there's so much in this movie, about figuring out who you are and stuff like that. And Don Cheadle's a guy who doesn't know where to go in life, and he ends up...
Well, he knows what he wants to do. He's just, a lot of it is he doesn't know how to do it.
And he doesn't know how to get there. And then... He gets to this place because he's a guy who can do this job and he's making better money than he would in most places. But then also you see the repercussions of it affecting his career with his boss telling him he didn't like it or he wasn't okay with it anymore for him being in the movies. But I forget who plays his
wife?
Yeah. She's a lesser-known actress, but I think we got Mark Wahlberg, Julianne Moore, Burt Reynolds, John C. Reilly, Don Cheadle, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Again, playing this super sleazy, and I mean that this time. Sleazy character.
He's
he's
very
so
confused. Person in the movie. There's one more, William H. Macy. That guy.
That guy.
He's a tragic character, and then but it humanizes them so well, and it has different parts of it that are like Addams Family-esque. They're weirdos, and they have this weird
family kind of deal, kind of like almost like a '60s counterculture kind of.
Julianne Moore plays like the mother of like so many people in the movie, but she's not actually the mother, but she's a mother figure. But then
you find out about like her real children and what the deal is with that.
Yeah, and her like being a genuinely caring person who wants to experience motherhood and stuff like that. But because of the things that she's done, she can't get to experience that because of negative stereotypes. You know, but I mean, a lot of it's deserved. I mean, if you step back,
yes.
I mean, totally, because I mean, she has some issues and some substance abuse problems. But you know, you have this weird family dynamic, and you know,
Very weird,
if you
almost creepy weird.
Yeah,
some points.
Well, I listened to like Paul Thomas Anderson on Mark Maron a while back, and Maron went through and just asked him like every movie he's made, like, what's this about? So he's like, he's like Magnolia, what's that about? He's like my dad, and then he's like Punch Drunk Love. He's like just love, and then but this movie he was like that's that really is about a family, and that's then also there's so many great
family.
Huh?
It's about family. Fast and Furious, about family.
It's same themes, guys.
I'm not
Are
into
these
those
films
movies.
kindred spirits?
Is that a Vin Diesel impression?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I
A
thought you were
very
doing
bad
Paul
one.
Thomas Anderson. I was like, he doesn't sound like that. But yeah, there's so many great elements to it, and then you have all these crazy times. You know, the 70s is a crazy period. You know, it's one of the heights of like substance abuse and drug addiction, and cocaine and heroin and alcoholism was rampant. Also one of the highest periods for murder ever in the United States.
In this movie, I mean. Oh yeah.
No, in the 70s. Like,
Oh
you
yes,
know,
the 70s was a horrible time for the United States.
Yeah, I mean, and also the best period for cinema, even though this is a movie made in the 90s.
Yeah.
But there are different elements, and then you have that, what is that movie? Is it Sunset Boulevard?
I mean,
No,
you're
what is-
thinking of something very specific that I wouldn't.
It's an old film about transitioning. It might be Sunset Boulevard. But it's an older movie that's made in the 40s or 50s, but it's a period piece. It's based in the silent era, and all these and all the major stars of the silent era don't know what to do whenever audio comes on, because a lot of them like have speech impediments and stuff like that. They don't sound as great, and you know, and some of these beautiful women that they saw, you know, were chain smokers and did not sound all too glorious.
Right.
You know, and it's about this transition and coping with that. I have to remember, what movie is that? Is it part of Singing? It's not Singing in the Rain.
Hate to cut you off, but I think we should move on to the more technical aspects of the film, because
Okay,
we've been
but-
talking about actors and plot.
But I wanted to get that of the transition. Then you see the transition from like the adult movie houses to video, and all these people coping with not knowing what to do. And when your industry changes, like you're exposed to a specific way of life. But yeah.
And at that point in the film, they have a lot of cuts where they'll cut to what's being filmed on video, to like the actual movie, and those like shots in between them, they're kind of jarring, but in a very interesting way. I don't know if you want to add in like some weird symbolism to that, but I just think it's a cool kind of juxtaposition. And it kind of proves his point, because earlier in the film he says, "I'll never film on video because it looks like crap and sounds like crap." And then, like when you actually see those shots, it does.
And it's weird, and you see transitioning to different types of stuff that he wants to like make, even though it's really crappy and low quality and bad acting. That he wants to make this form of art, and then where people are just like, we don't care about all that stuff. We don't care about a story where these two people meet, and then something happens. It's just like, oh, we want to watch this happening on camera, and he's just like, that's animalistic. Like, I'm not a barbarian.
Right, I'm an artist, really.
Yeah.
No?
But technical, let's move on.
So yeah, cinematography, great. One thing about the sound design is, like, when you watch these films in the 70s and the 80s, and there's this kind of really distinct, sounds to them. They're like, everything just sounds, I don't want to say muffled or anything, but there's this kind of like weird quality to the sound, and you kind of hear that when it comes to like the 70s. You hear that a lot just with the sound effects. It doesn't sound like they're using super high quality microphones that they even had in '97. It sounds like they're filming this in like 1974 or whatever.
Yeah.
And same thing with the 80s too. Keep in mind it doesn't look like it's shot from the 70s, of course. No.
Oh, no.
All these scene transitions and pans, they're clearly
the cinematography, and then it's so
time.
great when you look for it, but it's definitely, because there are some movies, and not to criticize them in any way, like Birdman is made to look like one continuous shot. It's a very obvious thing. And then you'll deal with other directors like Spielberg. Spielberg uses a lot of one takes in his work, but they're than the really long shots, but they're made to be invisible. There's not much movement, but he keeps enough going on screen to where
You're not going to notice
he's
it.
doing it like a thing is to cut corners to get it done cheaper and get this achieved in one shot. Right. Yeah, but it's not. You have to be looking for it. It's not in your face about it. It's not like Rope and Hitchcock. But this movie has a similar, like it's very seamless transitions, but it's very specific the way it is. Like if you notice it, like it's not in your face about things, but it just flows really well. And then and then there's when they're swimming in the pool, they're doing shots above and below the water with the camera, and you're not really thinking about it, and it's just shot so gorgeously and just it flows and feeds and it's abrupts and stops and
Yeah, like this one element where they kind of add that extra element of cheesiness to it. Like there's this one scene where what's the name of the gay character in this? The one who's gay for Mark Wahlberg.
I don't see the world through that lens.
No,
it's Philip Seymour Hoffman. Spoiler.
Yeah.
But yeah, Philip
again,
Seymour Hoffman plays that
super-
guy, and he's
super
really into
unnerving.
Dirk Diggler, aka Dirk. I forget his name.
No, that's his name.
No, I mean what his actual name is, but
it
that's
starts
his,
with an E. That's all I can remember.
But that's his name in the movie. That's also a part that I really like. That's bold, in your face. Like, and we were talking about this in a class I had the other day about cuts different things, and they thought it should be in the movie. And it was like an old film of like Eisenstein where they cut, where there's like soldiers and they cut to a lion growling. And like when it was made, people were like, oh, but and it was supposed to like that juxtaposition like represents like the strength of the soldiers, but as that people weren't into that at all, and they're like, well, there's lions, or it's not close to the movie. They're not a threat. Lions aren't about to walk onto the set, or anything like that, or it should be part of the thing. So then there's different talk about like, is it Darren Aronofsky, Requiem for a Dream?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just making sure he did that. But then the shots of like when they're actually doing the drugs and the different things themselves, they're like part of the action. It's in some way part of what's actually going on screen. But they're talking to Mark Wahlberg, about his name. He's like, he needs a good name, and he's like, I was thinking of something that could, just razor sharp. It could cut glass. And then I love that. I could see it in a neon sign, and it blows up, and they just cut to Dirk Diggler. And it like explodes.
And a neon sign blowing up.
Yeah. I love that shot so much.
Well, I was talking about like Paul Thomas Anderson's character, and that is a great example. But I'm talking about Paul Thomas Anderson's character when he first sees Dirk Diggler. Like you have this kind of cheesy, like everything around him blackens out except him, and that's kind of like he's the focal point. And then you only really see that in like very old school. And I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. Kind of had that another Tarantino.
Oh yeah, you were referring to like whenever Philip Seymour Hoffman sees him for the first time, and it just like scopes it. Yeah,
and you just instantly know, okay, he's into it.
It's a Hitchcock type move.
Yeah.
But yeah, what time do we go on?
Well, we went on like 9:07, 9:10.
Oh, so I'm enjoying this too much.
I'm enjoying this.
No one watches this anyway. Does it matter like what the brevity of it is?
Well, we're gonna get -1 views.
Possibly. I mean, people are gonna click. They're not gonna watch, or maybe they are. But
you decide. You decide if Robin gets voted off the comic. We kill him or not.
We should. You always should, especially if it's Damian Wayne. That guy sucks. Why did they do that? Why does Batman need a real biological son?
It's because drama, and then because they've written like 10,000 issues. You have to. Eventually, they're just gonna make Batman a girl, like they've done with like a few other superheroes now.
Let's get back to movies before I start talking about Spider-Man's $6.99.
But yeah,
let's keep talking about the movie for a little bit. We'll talk for a few more minutes.
Right. We should probably rate this now.
Let's talk about your soundtrack briefly.
Oh no, perfect.
Great soundtrack, all around.
The music, it's just like period music, and it's fantastic.
It's perfectly done. And then of course, there are the things that are going to be in there. It's called Boogie Nights. It's about the 70s. Of course, you're going to have a Boogie Wonderland track in there.
Yep.
It's got to be in there. It's well deserved.
I think I heard Stevie Wonder at some point, but I could be wrong.
I want to put in the edit Jungle Fever.
Oh yeah.
Just the sound design is so well done as far as the scoring of it, and just it keeps a beat, keeps a flow, and it has that Scorsese. There's a lot of Scorsese
yeah.
influence, a lot of flow.
Literally, all you got to do to hook me in, because in the beginning of the end credits, they play Electric Light Orchestra. That's it for me. Perfect 10.
Terrific. I think my favorite shot would be the penultimate, not the very last shot with Mark Wahlberg, which is the very last shot, but there's just one of Burt Reynolds as Jack Horner just walking around his house.
Yeah.
And just what has changed about his house and what's happening versus what happened at the beginning. And I just really, it's done well, and it's that epitome of you can't end Star Wars after you blow up the Death Star. You got to have
the epilogue, kind of.
You got to have the medal rally.
Where do the heroes go?
You got to have Princess Leia. Yeah, I mean, it sets the tone nicely, and it feels, and this is a tragedy in a lot of parts, and there are hard stuff that happens that you don't see coming.
Oh no, yeah.
And
they
do it.
They literally have a section of the film that's basically. It's just titled downhill.
It is
like fast downhill.
Epic tragedy, terrible likeness, and I've heard somebody say they're these aren't real people. These are fictional characters. They're for a fictional. They're make the worst things possible happen to them. This within a belief, and they do that. Everyone's hitting rock bottom, but it's not totally over. And
they in the soundtrack they literally just have a doom, doom, death bells, and I'm pretty sure it lasts for a solid 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Yeah. So we've talked about acting, we've talked about direction,
Technical
cinematography,
stuff.
colors. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Technical stuff, the shots, the editing, all fantastic, all very bold and unique. We've talked about. I've already said acting, right? We've talked about the score. We've talked about the sound design.
Let's try to rate
Let's
this.
try to rate
Right.
it. What did we say? We were giving a star each. One was for performance and actors.
We're gonna get this wrong. Trust us.
One was performance and actors. The other one was technical effects, which I thought was
It was 5-star system. So yeah, performance, technical. Was the soundtrack part of it? I don't think it was.
story and plot,
Yes.
and story plot / character
Yeah.
theme. Is theme on
No,
its
it
own
was.
thing?
It was.
Thematic execution is what I said. Just not because you can have a movie with a bad theme, but how it pulls that off, and then uniqueness. And
that was it.
this movie is called For the Love of Film, and it's not a review show. We're not going to movies every weekend just saying whatever about whatever we see, and we'll
This
totally.
isn't Siskel and Ebert.
We'll totally do a bad movie soon, or one that's not overall whatever. But so far we're doing movies that we love a lot, and this is a 5 out of 5 for me. Casting, performance, killer, direction, super unique, super bold, super creative.
Right.
It's a thematic execution. It's bold. It's everyone has a place in the world and becoming.
I give it a 4 out of 5, and the only reason I take out that 1 star.
Do you have a specific?
Yes, it's just the pacing at some points, it just gets a little too long-winded. I remember there's this one shot of Don Cheadle's wife. She's looking at Don Cheadle, and I swear to God, she's just staring at him for 10 more seconds than she really needs to be. And I'm just move, next shot, please. And there's just a few other shots here sprinkled here and there, where I'm just
I can see that.
you could have cut
I'm
here,
okay with
and
that.
it would have been better, actually. I don't know. And then, again, there are other shots that just linger, and it works really well, kind of builds tension and stuff. But there are other points where it's just you don't, just cut early. We don't need this wait.
How do you feel about 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I love it. That part is
It's so great.
necessary.
I just the only part I care about is on the spaceship, but it's all one thing.
So yeah, I care about the other scenes more.
But yeah, I'm okay with that if you take one off for pacing. It is a long movie. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes, right?
No, yeah, and you don't. It's not one of those movies again where you're gonna be okay, well, where are we at? Oh God, only 30 minutes in. But it keeps you along. It keeps you entertained.
It keeps you going. I think by far the best movie, because it's definitely trying to mimic some of its effects, but Goodfellas is still the best movie I've already seen for pacing.
Right.
It's got flow to it, man. It's the shortest 2 hour and 40-minute movie I've ever seen.
You ever listen to OK Computer by Radiohead, the album?
I'll check it out.
Because it's basically same deal with pacing. It's just literally every song, and I don't mean literally flows into the next, but it's got the perfect track listing
Okay.
It's the Goodfellas of rock music.
Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Paul Thomas Anderson, a lot of people go to like more serious movies of directors. So they'll go to like There Will Be Blood because it's got, Daniel Day-Lewis and all this stuff.
Did you see Phantom Thread?
Not yet, have you?
No. I need to see Phantom Thread.
I want to watch it, but I bought a movie pass and it's in the mail, and I will not pay for tickets until I'm worried it's going to go out of theaters by the time I get my movie pass.
I see.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it's unsettling.
Well, of
But
course.
I don't know. I could go watch it and still be like, that was incredible. But some people were like, well, it is their thing. They said there's a specific choice that he tries to do, and I have no idea what that's going to be. I don't, because it's the most vague trailer, because it could be just a very Victorian thing.
It could be like Mother, where it's like, whoa.
Or he could just like murder her or become like a serial killer. I have no idea. I don't think it's going to go that way, but it's a lot about the relationship, and I feel like there's a lot from what I've read about it, parallels with Paul Thomas Anderson. My gosh, we have to wrap this up.
We have to wrap it up like Chipotle.
Okay, so we're going to give this movie
a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. It's my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Yet I still have to watch The Master and Inherent Vice, things like that. Do you have any ideas for next week? Anything you want to do?
Do I ever have ideas worth?
Let's system real quick. What do we got? We could do Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I'd say Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think that's a perfect one.
Or do you want to do like a worse movie, a movie that you like that's like bad, or not bad, or has bad reviews?
Can we do Suicide Kings? Because it is Suicide Kings. It's a lesser known movie. It came out late 90s. It's the definition of a Tarantino ripoff. It wants so.
I'll watch it, but I don't want to do a show on that.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, do watch it because it also has the worst ending to any movie I've ever seen. And it's so unnecessary. They could have just cut before the ending, and then it would have been fine. But they just add one more scene. I'm just like, oh.
You finally want to get around to Raging Bull?
No, I've not.
I said, do you finally want to do it?
Oh, do I want to do it?
We haven't done Scorsese yet.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, that has been Worth and Gabe for the Love of Film. See us next time. Same bad channel. We'll see you.
Adios.